Hello, and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is one that I've been reading for a while, and it's I'm the Max-Level Newbie, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 174 on. Its main character is Kang Jin-hyuk, a game streamer who has been trying to clear a very difficult game by the name of the Tower of Trials. On one fateful day, he finally clears the game, but all of a sudden, the world has now transformed to be inside the Tower of Trials game. Being the only one who's cleared it, Jin-hyuk has a clear advantage, and now, having to clear the tower in real life, will Jin-hyuk be actually able to do it? What does this new tower have in store for him and humanity, and who are the ones controlling it? How powerful will Jin-hyuk get? The story is a 9 out of 10. A plot with a clear goal in mind, with only one life to try and get to the top, Jin-hyuk has his work cut out for him even if he has cleared it before. This is going to be a long and arduous road ahead of him. Be prepared for a lot of turns, twists, highs, lows, and everywhere in between. The story is very much a reflection on Jin-hyuk's personality and overall mindset, while taking a peek every now and then at the situation of the tower as he climbs higher. The characters are 10 out of 10. With an assortment of characters, both good and bad relations with Jin-hyuk, there's never a dull moment when he's involved. Jin-hyuk's personality is very much being steps ahead of his opponent, even if it means deceiving those that are close to him. Unlike what it may seem though, Jin-hyuk does have an amusing set of characters that join him throughout his journey that have their own respective stories and challenges. The art is also 10 out of 10. The illustration of Jin-hyuk's advantage and overall wit from his time playing the tower and his natural instinct when dealing with others is great. The action, combat prowess, and overall art direction are just the cherry on top. I would personally recommend you to at least give it a try if the art style seems to appeal to you. So if you're a fan of the action genre and want a long-running story that is based off the main character being the only person who finished the quote-unquote content, similar to Omniscient Reader from my previous videos, then I'm the Max-Level Newbie would be a good one to start reading. This next manhwa is Leah's Bad Ending, a reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 55 on. The protagonist is Emilia, or Leah for short, a character in a dating game. This version of Leah, though, is an individual who reincarnated into the world of the game as Emilia. Being adopted by the Windrose family to be a playmate to the terminally ill Ophelia, Leah becomes the closest person to Ophelia and is the only person that she cares for. Once Ophelia passes away, Leah chooses to distance herself from the acquaintances that surrounded themselves around Ophelia and pestered her, by her opinion. As she lives her own life though, clearly the characters of the story aren't done with her yet. Will she be able to live a peaceful life of her own volition, or will she be dragged into the plot of the game? The story is 8 out of 10. A normal setup of a reincarnation into a dating game story, there isn't anything really exciting to take note of at the beginning. As the plot progresses though, we do see the deviations that all of these manhwas go through. And those changes and how the characters react to Leah's attitude and actions post Ophelia's passing are funny, considering the expectations that they expect from Leah. The characters are also 8 out of 10. One thing that is shown to the reader right up front is that the endings from the original game are quite grim, to say the least, and the best endings are neutral at best. These endings are tied to the characters that are introduced and don't paint the greatest picture for the characters that we read through. Leah has her hands full with these people, that's for sure. The art is 7 out of 10. If it hasn't been apparent already, the manhwa has quite the somber and depressing mood, and its illustration of that is done well. There's some peaceful moments as well, but things will not be easy, and you can tell by the presentation of Leah's attitude. So if you're looking for a reincarnating into a dating game genre manhwa and are okay with a more somber atmosphere to it, then Leah's Bad Ending would be one to try out. Afterlife Diner is the title of our next manhwa to go over today. It's a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 58 on. Lee Kang-jin is the name of its main character, an individual who took a chance to inherit a building in the busy streets of Gangnam. an area within Seoul, South Korea. There is a caveat to this though, that he has to run a restaurant at very particular hours of the day for a number of years. After accepting this proposition and starting his new work, he notices that some of the customers are unique. To be more specific, they're ghosts. Now having to deal with the reality of his situation, what will Kang-jin do? Will he be able to survive for his contracted period of time running a restaurant that deals with the supernatural? The story is 8 out of 10. With Kang-jin's customers being ghosts, the story has many opportunities to go over their individual stories, tragedies, and overall characters. This results in a pace that varies quite a lot, to some more shorter but cleaner storylines to more mysterious and overarching tales that take a lot of chapters to resolve. All in all, it provides an episodic feel but a central cast to lean on. The characters are 7 out of 10. With the multitude of a cast that is presented, they provide a foundation in which the reader and in some cases Kang-jin to lean on. This, however, because of that episodic nature that I was alluding to, ends up detracting some time away that could be used to delve into the characters in a pace that I personally would enjoy more. The art is 8 out of 10. The illustration provides a great contrast between the spooky, supernatural vibe that ghosts and the general aura that they exude compared to the more peaceful and vibrant nature that surrounds the restaurant that Kang-jin now runs. It truly brings out the best of both worlds. So if you're a fan of the modern supernatural genre and would like a manhwa that delves into the regrets and what-ifs of life, then Afterlife Diner would be one to take a peek of. Our next manhwa to go over is How Can You Pay Back the Kindness I Raised You with Obsession, a reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 19 on. The focus of this story is on Hazel, a witch that lives on the outskirts of a village in a fantasy world. The only peculiar thing is that this version of Hazel is actually a reincarnated version, and if anyone is familiar with some folktales, it seems that she landed herself to being a witch from what seems to be a similar world to Hansel and Gretel. Instead of becoming an evil witch or something similar. Instead, she just wants to get along with people, but she still makes an edible house. After some time, she gets visited by a brother and sister pair, you see what I mean by the Hansel and Gretel part, and things take a little turn. The potential is 7 out of 10. With that Hansel and Gretel foundation, there becomes almost an expectation or some sort of tie in the original fairy tale. Other than the start though, this doesn't actually come to fruition, at least from what it seems. The manhwa moves to a more typical but endearing romance fantasy instead. The art is an 8 out of 10. An illustration that shows off cute kid characters with an overall light atmosphere, at least from its current direction, that there isn't any major conflict, but only time will tell if the art will show more of its potential. So if you're looking for a reincarnation manhwa that has some of its roots in a fairy tale but seems to be going to a more romantic/family direction, then How Can You Pay Back the Kindness I Raised You with Obsession, long title, might just interest you. Welcome to the highlight portion of today's video as we look at how one of the manhwas mentioned in the previous video is doing as I've continued reading it. Slight spoiler warning as we will be discussing the events in the manhwa since my previous opinion. Today's highlight is Supremely Talented Player, which I've now read up to chapter 66 on. Info card description will have links to my original opinion. Kang Yu-sung has been very busy in continuing to keep humanity alive, although some others are not as enthusiastic. I noted previously that this manhwa had more of an anti-hero-esque vibe when it comes to Yu-sung, and for the most part, I still feel the same. The only new development is the fact that I don't believe this is all on Yu-sung's behavior, but because of how most of the top players and people always seem to try and get rid of him and blame him at every potential turn. The manhwa takes a more episodic form of storytelling though with its towers, while the periods in between the towers offer some little exposure to the overarching plot. I can't even begin to fathom how it must feel to be in Yu-sung's position, but at least clearly the Saintess seems to understand. My previous scores for this manhwa was 9 out of 10 for potential and 7 out of 10 for art. This potential translates to 9 out of 10 for both story and characters. For its story, the interesting new developments are questioning the identities of the monarchs. They're clearly using Earth and players as toys to play with for their enjoyment. but what's their purpose overall, and are they the ones that control the towers? There seems to be more on the surface here, and there are similarities to other action manhwas that I've covered on the channel. The characters get this 9 out of 10 score as well, due to the monarchs and the players having their own plans and schemes to further their view on the world. That view, of course, is the mystery that makes most of the other characters at least intriguing enough to pay attention to. Clearly, monarch beings are not all-knowing also. The art goes up 1 point to 8 out of 10, as the variety of actions and skills that Yusung can perform is honestly increasing, even though he's already overpowered in terms of skill execution and tower clearance. It never ceases to amaze me on how he overcomes any sort of difficult situation. So if you're a fan of overpowered main characters and action manhwas and want elements of I'm the Max-Level Newbie and Ranker's Return from my previous videos, then Supremely Talented Player continues to offer a satisfying experience. Would you agree, or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on Supremely Talented Player. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading, and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.